Hello, Internet. I was literally just scratching my head because I had an itch, but it's actually probably appropriate for this review because I'm scratching my head on this one. And probably not the way you want to hear me do an intro for one, but I hope my WooSah credentials are not in question. Pop it out of this Carver's Customs. But I guess first and foremost, I don't love this as much as I thought I would. That said, don't go anywhere because I do actually like this a lot. I feel like I'm probably going to come off maybe a little more critical than I necessarily want it to sound. Now, most of that is my own decisions, but a bit of it might be a little bit of feedback for the spinner. So, anywho, we got the WooSah Doubleheader Elite Junior in stainless steel with an industrial finish, and then I did put on the stainless steel flat buttons that I got. I picked these up, really liked the look of them, and found I preferred the butter buttons on my Chakra and the Boss buttons on the Boss. So I had a set of stainless steel buttons laying around, so I threw them on there. I like the stainless steel, I like the weight. So now I was really excited about getting this guy because I've been waiting to get an Elite doubleheader from WooSah for a while. I played around with their aluminum one a little bit and kind of liked how that felt. And, was just really looking forward to a bar from WooSah in a stainless steel because I've really enjoying bars lately. And I think that's just for me, as I got a little disappointed with this guy in terms of what I was really hoping it would be. So now I have thrown a Heck super bearing in here. I'm not sure if it was a V1 or a V2, I'll be honest. Just because the one drops, I left the one drop in there a little bit and played around with it, but especially with the bar, I really wanted a little bit of feedback. I didn't test the spin times with the one drop, and I didn't fully test the spin times with this, but spin times almost don't matter, especially when you're either talking a one drop or when you're switching bearings out. But yeah, I think I was getting somewhere in 4 minutes on a table spin, and I didn't test a vertical spin. I didn't do any good tests before I did this video, so I apologize, y'all. But let's just weigh this real quick. Now, again, it has stainless steel buttons, but we'll just get this out of the way. 87 grams, and if you're getting the aluminum buttons, it's going to add less weight. So let's just real quick, just for the integrity of it all. 63. All right. While we got the buttons off, let's just take a quick look. You got that signature little O-ring retention from WooSah. Look at that industrial finish they do. Pew, pew. Looks so good. So aesthetically, this is a beauty. This is a wonderful looking spinner. Look at that. It almost looks like a little... Whoa, look at that. It's trippy. They're industrial finish, man. I don't know what sort of magic they're doing, and we know WooSah does magic, right? So some of the little circle marks in the end are a little deep, but I think that's just where the machining is ending and coming back around the way they do their magic. So you just kind of get that a little bit. So it's not too bad. Like right here, you see how it looks, those circles look a little deeper than they do kind of the rest of the way around. But again, I know like that's just kind of how machining goes. So anywho, let's pop the buttons back on here. Looks beautiful. Beautiful looking spinner, no question. And the ergonomics on it are pretty good. That's kind of where it falls down a little bit for me. Now, part of it is we've been getting some cold weather. We're starting to get into the drier weather and the cooler weather. So with that, especially for me, I kind of get dry skin. I think what I'm going to refer to it as is paper skin or paper fingers. So you guys know what I'm talking about. But when your hands are just super dry, super dry, there's just any sort of anything on there, and you just can't get a grip on anything. So with this spinner, this really suffers from that. So I got this at a time of the year where it probably is like the worst time of the year to get a spinner like this. So the surface of this is just so smooth, there's just nothing really to grab onto. So I found I was having a hard time fidgeting with this, and much like the Valkyrie, where it just kind of seemed like it was never in the right place, I was feeling that a lot. But I was also I wasn't able to get really any good grip. So when I went to stop it, it would just slide right past my fingers instead of kind of getting stuck on them. So I think for me, part of that is part of the issue. The other thing is, I think, even if that weren't the case, they're still a little smooth. They kind of remind me, like when I talked about the surface of the portal is a little slippery. Like right now, I've got a little bit of that grip going on my fingers. But if I pull on here, my finger kind of slides a little bit as I spin, and it's just not quite as satisfying as it grabbing on and flipping it. So beautiful as the industrial finish is, I really think, especially with a bar, with a try, you can get away with it a little more, the way the mass is distributed and the way you get a hold of those arms. But I think with a bar, I think you really want to get something with some texture, either with, the caliber or something with, the fletching or, whatever different spinners they're making. I'm not sure all the designs they offer in the doubleheader. But I think you want one with some sort of design, some sort of texture on here, so your fingers have a little bit of something to grip onto. So that's more a choice. Again, those two things are more criticisms for me than they are of the spinner. which is where most of my criticisms are. I think this was just the wrong choice at the wrong time, so I couldn't appreciate it as much as I wanted to. But then again, I also really, really wanted to love this guy. I think from a design perspective, I almost feel like these were pointed out so that I could get something to grab on from here to push off of. Or that these cutouts, these points came up a little farther and these cutouts were a little wider, because these cutouts are there and you can get them in the right place, but they don't really allow really good strong flicks. So they're there and you can push off of them a little bit. But I think for me, it feels like I almost want those to be a little bit bigger. When I'm reaching out and I'm getting a good grab there, you know, we can pretty much do that. We can pretty much do that all day, but I'm just finding, again, sometimes it just seems like it's a little out of place, and it's not as fidgetable as I would want it from a WooSah. See that? See how I missed one there a little bit. And you know, that's kind of a thing you have to expect with bar spinners, but yeah. So she does push good. It pushes good. It pulls good. Just again, there was just a little bit of something where it didn't feel like that WooSah fidgeting, and again, I don't know if it's, again, part of it was, I'm just going over the same stuff here, aren't I? If it was a combination of the finish, or again, I'm not sure, and not feeling it and not having it with those points, I don't know if that would make things better or worse, to be honest. You know, it might have to do with the lightness of the aluminum in the full size that was a little easier, or maybe this coming to a little bit more of a point or something, I'm not sure. So not sure. I'm still enjoying it. It's still a great spinner. It's just, you know, I guess maybe we hold our, especially if you're in the WooSah camp and in the WooSah family, hold it to a pretty high standard. So again, I think I got the wrong spinner at the wrong time. So, but still beautiful. Look at that industrial finish. I've been waiting to get one of these in industrial finish. You know, I'm not someone that, to be honest, especially with as many spinners as I'm trying to buy and review, can just buy every finish of the same spinner. So, you know, like I got the Namaste and the Radiance, right? I got the Chakra, I got the Caliber, or the Cosmo in the Zen, right? You know, they make all those different patterns. I just can't afford to buy them all. So I try to buy the ones I can where I can. So, but yeah, good spinner. So I think I touched on the negatives, hopefully touched on the positives as well. It is still a good, oh, I bet the warp on this looks pretty good. Oops. My hand is like right in the shadow. Boop, 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 boop. That's a really weird angle for me. Balance is pretty good, as we've come to expect from WooSah, right? So machining is on point over there. Those guys know what they're doing when it comes to milling metal. So we get good balance. We get everything we expect from a WooSah, just in its bar form. It wasn't as fidgetable as I wanted. Still love it. So can we recommend it? For me, I still love this guy. Can I recommend it for you? If you're not someone who's into bars, I think you might have a hard time with this. If you're someone that's into bars and can kind of appreciate that, the judder. The judder's not too bad on this guy. But it is a bar spinner and suffers from some of the bar spinner things in some respects. So there, we get our thumb out of the way. That way, you just have to balance it on 2 fingers. But dead smooth. Right, quality is not an issue here. So, and again, if I'm recommending it, I got to recommend getting one with some lines. I think I would really appreciate it more if I had that, because honestly, I think that's my biggest gripe. Is it kind of slips out of my hands a little. And that's a mistake that I made, so we can't hold them accountable for that. And honestly, I don't know if I even really mind that, now that, you know, we're kind of speaking on it, because I really did want an industrial finish. So, you know, all things considered, if I was going to go back and redo this, yeah, maybe getting this in some sort of pattern and getting my Namaste in an industrial was probably be the smarter play. But anywho, Doubleheader Elite Junior by WooSah. You know, I get inside my head a lot more than I probably should when I'm doing these videos. So this is kind of, I guess, probably the end of the view and just kind of a little inside look into me. I always feel like I feel so terrible if I say anything that even sounds bad, like in my head in the moment, and then I go and watch the video later and I'm like, oh, that really wasn't that bad. So hopefully that came across here. I also realize any of the dead air that I leave sometimes as I'm spinning feels like an eternity in my head, and I go back and replay it and I'm like, oh, I didn't really stop talking that long. Guess it's just what happens when you're really in your head and you talk really fast, right? So, WooSah! Kisses, everybody.